Hi everyone, welcome back to Difference Frames the World, a channel that offers a unique perspective. Please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notifications so you will not miss our daily uploads. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most important political meetings in China, the Fourth Plenary Session of the 20th Central Committee of the Communist Party of China, or simply the Fourth Plenum, which took place in Beijing from October 20th to 23rd, 2025. It brought together 168 full members and 147 alternate members of the Central Committee. Members of the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection and officials from various departments attended the meeting. Some grassroots representatives and scholars who took part in the 20th Party Congress were also invited to sit in. The session was presided over by the Political Bureau, and General Secretary Xi Jinping delivered an important speech. The plenary session had two major items on its agenda. First, it heard and discussed a work report delivered by Xi Jinping on behalf of the Political Bureau. Second, it reviewed and approved the recommendations of the Central Committee for the 15th Five-Year Plan. That's the next national blueprint for China's economic and social development covering the years 2026 to 2030. This upcoming 15th Five-Year Plan will be the crucial stage for China to lay a solid foundation for basically achieving socialist modernization by 2035. In other words, these 5 years will serve as a bridge between where China is now and where it wants to be in the next decade. The plenum first looked back on the 14th Five-Year Plan period, from 2021 to 2025. It described those 5 years as extraordinary and challenging. Despite the pandemic, global instability, and economic pressures, China made significant progress. Under Xi Jinping's leadership, the party united the country, faced major risks, and still achieved breakthroughs. China's economic strength, technological power, and overall national capabilities all reached new heights. The path toward Chinese-style modernization that combines material progress with social harmony, environmental protection, and cultural confidence, took firm steps forward. The country also marked the 81st anniversary of the victory in the War of Resistance against Japan and the world's victory in World War II, which helped strengthen national pride and unity. The 15th Five-Year Plan is not just another economic program. It's about entering a new stage of China's modernization journey. According to the plenum, this period will be a key turning point. China will move from laying the groundwork to fully accelerating modernization. However, the leadership also made it clear that the global environment is becoming more complex, with greater uncertainties, risks, and challenges. But at the same time, China's strengths remain unchanged. A strong industrial foundation, a massive domestic market, a complete supply chain, rich human resources, and above all, the unique advantage of its socialist system that allows for long-term planning and national coordination. The meeting emphasized that China's economic fundamentals are solid and its growth potential remains enormous. Therefore, confidence is essential. The message is, stay steady, stay focused, and be prepared to face both strong winds and rough waves. The core principle is stability with progress, prioritizing high-quality development. Economic growth is still important, but the focus will be on innovation, green transition, and improving people's livelihoods, not just on GDP growth. The plenum made clear that the goal is to achieve qualitative improvements alongside reasonable quantitative growth. That means the economy should grow not just bigger, but better. The new 5-year plan also sets the direction for comprehensive reforms, technological independence, and the expansion of domestic demand, while maintaining national security and social stability. The session outlined 6 key principles that will guide China's development from 2026 to 2030. The party's overall leadership, people-centered development, high-quality growth, not blind expansion. Deepening reforms in all areas. Combining market efficiency with effective government guidance, balancing development with security. The plenum listed several major goals in the next 5 years. Significant progress in high-quality growth and scientific innovation. A new wave of breakthrough reforms across sectors. Noticeable improvement in social civilization and cultural confidence. A higher quality of life for ordinary people. Major achievements in green and sustainable development. A stronger and more secure nation overall. If all goes well, By 2035, China aims to have comprehensively modernized, meaning the economy, technology, defense, and global influence will all see major upgrades, and the average income will reach the level of a moderately developed country. One of the key targets of the plenum was industrial modernization. The leadership reaffirmed that the real economy, factories, infrastructure, and production must remain the backbone of China's strength, developing smart, green, and integrated industries. China will continue building itself into a manufacturing powerhouse, a quality powerhouse, and even a space and transportation powerhouse. Traditional industries will be upgraded, while emerging and future industries like semiconductors, new energy, and advanced materials will be nurtured. Service industries will also become more efficient and modern. The plenum highlighted science and technology as the main drivers of China's future productivity. It said that China must seize the opportunities of the new global tech revolution, especially in AI, quantum computing, aerospace, and green technologies. The party called for greater self-reliance in science and technology, a key to national security and long-term prosperity. China plans to strengthen the link between education, technology, and talent, building what it calls a strong nation of education, science, and skilled people. It also mentioned the push for original innovation and breakthroughs in core technologies that are now dominated by other countries. The goal is clear. China wants to be on the cutting edge, not just catching up. Another focus was on building a strong domestic market. The leadership said China will rely more on its internal economic cycle. That means boosting consumption and investment inside the country. The idea is to create a virtuous cycle between demand and supply. New consumer demand will drive innovation, and new products will in turn create more demand. China will continue to encourage household spending, expand effective investment, and remove barriers that restrict the flow of goods and services across regions. All this will help form what's known as the dual circulation model, domestic circulation as the main body, with international circulation as a complement. The plenum also stressed reform. The goal is to build a high-level socialist market economy in which markets play a decisive role in allocating resources. At the same time, the government continues to play an active guiding role. The party wants to improve macro-level governance, unleash the vitality of all types of businesses, and promote market-based allocation of production factors such as land, labor, and capital. Reform is seen as the engine that ensures China's development remains sustainable and efficient. On foreign policy and trade, the plenum made it clear that China will not close its doors. Instead, it will pursue a high-level opening up strategy, participate in global cooperation, and promote win-win outcomes. That includes defending multilateral trade systems, expanding institutional opening up, promoting two-way investment, and furthering high-quality cooperation under the Belt and Road Initiative. In short, China wants to share its development opportunities with the world, but on its own terms. The plenum reaffirmed that the three rural issues, agriculture, rural areas, and growers, are central to the party's work. China will continue to promote rural revitalization, consolidate its achievements in poverty alleviation, and ensure that peasants enjoy modern living conditions. The country aims to build a strong agricultural sector, improve productivity and efficiency, and make rural life more prosperous and livable. The plenum called for optimizing China's regional economic layout, making better use of different regions' strengths, and developing new urbanization strategies that put people at the center. The plan includes enhancing regional coordination, strengthening key growth zones, and integrating urban and rural development. It also mentioned the development of the marine economy and the eco-friendly use of coastal resources, showing that China's modernization includes both land and sea. Interestingly, the plenum didn't just talk about economics and technology. It also emphasized culture and ideology. The party wants to inspire the cultural creativity of the Chinese people, strengthen core socialist values, and promote a confident, open, and modern Chinese culture rooted in China's long civilization. The goal is to make Chinese culture more influential globally and to build China into a cultural powerhouse, not only economically strong, but also rich in values, arts, and thought. Of course, all these grand plans are meant to serve one purpose: to improve people's lives. The plenum talked about common prosperity, which means narrowing the income gap and improving the quality of life for everyone. It pledged to improve education, healthcare, social security, and housing, while promoting full and high-quality employment. The government will also strengthen protection for vulnerable groups, support families, and ensure fair access to public services. The idea is to let all people share the benefits of modernization. Environmental protection remains high on the agenda. The plenum repeated the phrase, "Lucid waters and lush mountains are invaluable assets," a core concept in China's green philosophy. It called for coordinated efforts to reduce carbon emissions, pollution, and energy waste, while expanding green industries. China aims to accelerate the construction of a new energy system, a sustainable, low-carbon economy. In short, modernization in China is meant to be green, not gray. Security was another key topic. The plenum emphasized building a modern national security system to ensure that society remains vibrant yet stable. It stressed improving public safety, preventing major accidents, and enhancing the country's ability to handle risks and crises. On the military front, China reaffirmed its plan to achieve the goals of building a world-class army by 2027, marking the 100th anniversary of the People's Liberation Army. The plenum promoted Xi Jinping's thinking on strengthening the military, calling for simultaneous progress across the political, technological, and legal aspects of defense modernization. The plenum ended by focusing on the party itself. It emphasized that to govern the country, the party must first govern itself. In other words, the party's strength determines the nation's success. The leadership vowed to continue the strict governance of the party, fight corruption relentlessly, and maintain integrity within the ranks. Several senior officials, both civilian and military, were expelled from the party for serious disciplinary violations, a signal that the anti-corruption campaign is ongoing and uncompromising. The tone of the plenum was clear and confident. China has challenges ahead, but it also has the tools, the vision, and the determination to overcome them. The next 5 years, the 15th five-year plan period, will be decisive in shaping China's future. And if the country stays the course, the leadership believes it will not only achieve modernization, but also set a new model for development in the world.